All right, so when we trade a volatile market, it's very important that we time our entries and exits properly because a lot of times we'll get into a trade and the trade goes our way, but before it goes our way, we get stopped out, right? And we are taking a loss, which again, taking losses is part of the game, but it just stings when the trade that you actually wanted to trade works out in your favor. You just mistimed your entry, and it has happened to me many times. And it actually has happened to me even this morning. But now, coming into the afternoon, I want to show you guys how I'm looking for entries and exits when the market gets very volatile by using a channel or support and resistance levels. Okay. So, a simple way to kind of draw your channels or support resistance levels or even trend lines. This is my support resistance levels, as you can see. So, this is based on prior day's action, not just today, right? So, this is my main chart that I like to use support and resistance levels on the 2 minute. And as you can see, sometimes it reacts to it, sometimes it doesn't. So it's all basically just a reference, and you have to use multiple parts of a a system to make it into a strategy. It's not just one thing where it hits one level, you get in, right? It's never gonna be consistent enough. But okay, let's get into how we draw trend lines and then how we should be looking for a entry. So this is a trade that I did not take here. So I just want to kind of go over it first. I skipped on this one because I wanted to look for that bigger trade. So basically, there's a couple of ways to do it. So here we had a big move on FOMC news on the Nasdaq, right? So this is the regular move, and then at 2 p.m. we had the news, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically the Fed Reserve, and it makes the market move big time. It's basically like earnings for a stock, right? So you never want to be kind of anticipating what's going to happen and getting in prior to it. A lot of brokers don't even allow you to trade a minute before and minute after such news. A lot of brokers do, but some don't. And it's just dangerous, right? I mean, you could use stops and whatnot. And if you get it right, you get it right. But it's just, that's just gambling. So basically, once we had that big move, I was waiting for a trade. And we had the first one here. I did not take it, but let me show you what I would be looking for. So the key to this entry obviously is this trap here. So a lot of times when we have these moves down, the sellers will go short at the break of this low, and I've been there, and they get trapped right away, and then it just holds support, holds a higher low, and it keeps trapping more, and then this trap was perfect right to that trend line. So this trend line is drawn based on these 2 points, right? So if we didn't have that action, we just draw on based on these 2 points. Okay, and then we just extend it. And it's not exact. Trend line is not a line. It's more so like an area, right? So it's a little bit thicker than just a line, to keep that in mind. This one, plays out perfectly. But we also had the 20 SMA, and this would have been a good entry. Now, how would you look for a target? Well, high day is definitely a good target, which is one reason why I did not take this trade. I just felt like the high of day was not high enough. I mean, I knew it could have broken it, but rules are rules, and I kind of want to take the trade off at high day, at least a piece of it. And then the second piece would be for a second leg. So we measure the first leg, right? So that's how we measure it, and the distance from the first leg. And then we paste it to kind of give us an idea of how big the second leg should be. And again, it's from the lowest point of that pullback. And as you can see, we just came in. That was bad. I think I stretched it a bit. As you can see, we came just shy of that high, but that would have been a good indication where my final target would be. And you never wait for the top; you kind of just sell a couple ticks prior to it. Now, let's look into the trade that I actually did take. So this is a trend line. So I rather draw channels. So channel is basically two trend lines. You have the highs and you have the lows. Now, a lot of times we would draw the trend line like this, right? And then copy it or draw another trend line and just move it over and maybe move it like this. And now that's like a channel that we have. All right, so that's the channel, but this doesn't give me much. So maybe if the channel breaks, it could go short. I mean, I don't know. Like this just doesn't work for me. So the better way that I like to do it is to draw it reverse. So I wanted 2 points at the highs, which we got, and you just draw the highs, right? So you draw the support of the highs. Again, this is for trades going long. So if I'm looking to go short, I'll be looking to draw the support on the bottom first. But then you just move it over to the lows, and then you just extend it, right? So the key here is that I drew this at this point of the chart, and basically I'm just waiting for the pullback to happen towards this lower channel support. And it might seem like a far distance, but again, as the time goes, everything goes higher, right? So the trend lines go higher, and the price doesn't have to go as low as you would think. And it's important that it doesn't sell off too quick, because if it sells off too quick, that means um, the shorts are in control, and it'll be like buying a falling knife, which you don't want to do. But basically, as the market goes on and time goes on, you could see that we get into a perfect support level. Again, this was already drawn way prior to of this happening, right? So I drew it just based on the highs here, and look how it perfectly lined up there. Isn't that crazy? And now what you got to do is you can't just buy the low of that channel, right? Because you don't know if it's going to go under the channel, and then you have to wait for it to kind of reclaim that channel. You never know. So you have to wait for a signal candle or some kind of signal that will give you an idea that this is the right time to get in. And I did get in right here, which I'll turn on the executions in a second. But I made a couple mistakes on this trade. This was like a fifth trade for the day already. And a couple of my trades before, I let a runner go, and it just kept stopping me out. I think 3 trades today I took that. I left that little piece, the final piece on the table, and it came down and it stopped me out. Break even, of course. But it was kind of like, oh, should have just taken it. If I would have taken that, 2-3 times, it would have been a much bigger day. But anyway, you can't think like that. If you have a strategy, you have a strategy. But in this one, I unfortunately got out a little bit too early. But now, so I got in, right? So now what now? So the entry was perfect. And now what are the targets? So there's a few ways to do it, and that's got to be based on your strategy and what you feel comfortable with. If I'm scalping, I'll look for quick moves. But if I am trend trading, I'll try to wait for a bigger move. So one target, it's simple. First, you measure your stop, how much stop you're going to give it. And then you just make it 1 time or 2 times bigger for your first target, right? So maybe you just want to make 1 risk reward, maybe 2 to 1, whatever it might be. And then the second obvious target is the higher day. So the current high day is a good target to kind of to go off of. We have 1. So that would have been my main target, since I only had 3 contracts. And the final target is the channel. Now, same thing, like we drew the measured move here. Let's draw that measured move here. So we just move it over basically. And that will give us an indication also on how high we should be looking for. And as you can see, if we draw that trend line, it's almost perfect, right? It's almost perfect together. And that just gives you an idea where the market might want to go. And it's hard to hold through a move like that. It's super clean move, but it's actually very hard to hold, because anytime there could be a pullback. And unfortunately, I got out too soon. Now, my exact exit should have been right here, because I should have been trailing it by 1 minute, by 1 candle. This is a 2000 tick, not 1 minute. And as you can see, all these candles never broke the low of a previous candle, right? So the first break was right here, and that would have been my exit. And that costed me extra 80 points of profit per contract, especially on the last piece. If I only had 3 contracts, that would have been the final piece, second piece here, and the first piece would have been here. Now let me show you what I actually did. So I got in. I got a little bit spooked here. So I got out 1 contract, right? So I got 1 contract, and I was maybe waiting for another trap, just like we had here. So I got out 1, and I was gonna add 3 more. So I bought 3 here. I sold 1. I had 2, and then I bought 2 more here, and I sold 1 right away. I don't know why. I kind of just got, I guess nervous or something. I don't know. Really don't know why. I like to be in 3 contracts per the account size that I'm using here. It's a funded account, so the the account's not that big. And as you can see, I scaled out. And here, the final piece, which is what I'm really most pissed about, like these 2 contracts, like this one is that was perfect. This one was perfect. This one I should have never sold, and this one I should have never sold. And this is why. And I'm not saying like I have FOMO or anything like that. It's just a learning process for next time. And that's how you develop a strategy and you stick to the plan, right? So if I would have just stuck to a plan and I would have made my target, well, first after you take that, it's a break even stop. So there's no more risk on that trade. And then you could just trail it by a candle, right? So a lot of times you will not get this move, but every time you do, it'll make a huge difference on your account. And as you can see, none of the candles got broken, right? So I would have been just trailing it. I would have been trailing it. And what happened here on the final contract is this candle actually looked more like this candle here when I got out, right? So it looked like that. And I just pressed the sell button. My hard stop was right underneath this candle. And I kind of just pressed that button and it just exploded. And I missed the whole move. Uh, Additional 80 points I missed on the final contract, which is $160 based on the micro contract, which is what I had. And it would have been a nice trade. But as you can see, the final target did actually get hit. Just about as the trend goes, obviously, the higher the trend line will go, right? So because the market will continue moving higher. But this is a good example here to give you guys an idea why a first test is always the best test, right? So we had the first test. This is a head and shoulders pattern. So this is already a second leg move, and almost a failed third leg, right? So I would not be looking for a long here at this moment. And plus the market's about to close anyway. But this was already a huge move. And again, the first test is always the best test. And looking for it short here wouldn't be a bad idea. Um, Head and shoulders pattern, one of my favorites for shorts, for reversals. But I was already happy on the day and I was making this video. So again, this video is way longer than I thought it would be. It's 12 minutes already. But if you guys have any questions, leave them down below in the comments. And hope you guys are trading well. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you're brand new to the channel as well. I appreciate you guys. And yeah, this is how it's going. And this is day number 5 of the funded account. And it's been green every single day. So it's been a little bit choppy, up and down every day. But trading small. So head is cool and everything's been going well. I'll keep you guys updated on that as well as we go. And yeah, market actually closed. The actual stock market closed. And then it's 4:05 p.m. now. So the futures market will be closing in 10 minutes. So basically done with the day. All right, guys. Take care and have a good one.